selfish and self-centered. And this can happen for religious people as well. People who become devoted to Deen, to Islam, can be devoted to Islam with their first priority being themselves and their families. They prioritize things in religion that directly benefit them and their families, and they don't prioritize things that have to do with them serving other people. But those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives basira understand the great reward and the great value in Islam of serving other people and having a big heart towards other people. And the hadith I'm going to share with you is a beautiful story about this meaning. It's a hadith found in multiple different narrations. The one I'm going to share with you is not the most authentic one, but because it is within Fada'il al-A'mal, we will share it because the story is beautiful. And it's a hadith that is an Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma. He was, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, doing i'tikaf in Masjid al-Nabawi. And while he was doing i'tikaf, a man came and greeted him and sat down. Abdullah bin Abbas saw that he was upset, he wasn't well, and he said, you look upset, and you look saddened. He said he was, and he said that he had been overburdened by a loan that he owes to someone that he cannot fulfill. So Abdullah bin Abbas anhuma said, should I go speak to him for you? Should I intercede on your behalf and plead with this man to be merciful? And he said, if you like. And so Abdullah bin Abbas wears his shoes, gets up, and leaves the masjid. As he was leaving the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, the man turns to him and says, أَفَنَسِيتَ مَا كُنْتَ فِيهِ? Did you forget what you were doing? Because, as you know, when you're doing i'tikaf, you cannot leave the masjid except for a darura, if there's something serious that you have to go address. And so the man, even though he needed Abdullah bin Abbas, and having the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ intercede on your behalf, and someone like Abdullah bin Abbas, one of the greatest companions, intercede on your behalf, was a big deal. But even though he needed him, he turned to him and said, have you forgotten what you were doing? Because he didn't want Abdullah bin Abbas to lose the reward of i'tikaf. And so the response of Abdullah bin Abbas was really beautiful. He said, لا, I did not forget what I was doing. ولكني سمعت صاحب هذا القبر صلى الله عليه وسلم والعهد به قريب. He says, I did not forget, but I remember, I heard the person that this grave belongs to, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and my time with him was not long ago. And when he said that, he remembered his Habib and he began to tear, as the story says. فقال من مشى منكم, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, من مشى مع أخيه, من مشى في حاجة أخيه وبلغ فيها كان خيرا من اعتكاف 10 سنين. واعتكاف ومن اعتكف يوما في سبيل الله في ابتغاء وجه الله تعالى جعل الله بينه وبين النار جعل بينه وبين النار 3 خنادق ما أبعد ما بين الخادقين أو الخافقين. So he says, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever goes accompanies his brother in a need that his brother has until it is fulfilled. So you go with your brother until that need is fulfilled. It is better for him than doing i'tikaf for 10 years. And so it's clear, the Prophet ﷺ then explains that it's not because the ajr of i'tikaf is low, but it's because the ajr of going with your brother and fulfilling his need is great. So he says, whoever does i'tikaf for 1 day, not wanting the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will create for him 3 trenches, and you build a trench to separate yourself from the enemy. Each trench is the width of what's between the east and the west. That is the ajr for 1 night of i'tikaf. But if you're with your brother to fulfill his need, you get the ajr of doing i'tikaf for 10 years. And so the point of the hadith for me, and the lesson really, is that helping other people, opening your heart to other people, gets rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a different level. It's almost as if it's a different dimension altogether. And especially as we enter Ramadan, people tend to seclude themselves and close the world, outside world, and focus on ibadah. And of course, that's what we are meant to be doing in Ramadan, is focusing on our ibadah. But I believe that the reason Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma responded so quickly, and even though he was focused on his ibadah, he noticed something. I believe he understood that Allah sent him that man. That Allah sent him that man that night for him to fulfill a need. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises people's status by giving them these opportunities. So the person who doesn't understand this just focuses on worship. Says, I don't want to be distracted from my Quran, I don't want to be distracted from my dhikr, I don't want to be distracted from these things. But the person who Allah gives basira, gives wisdom, he goes looking for these opportunities. And when Allah presents him an opportunity of someone needing your help, the person with basira jumps onto that. And if it means leaving the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ to go do it, he leaves the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ to go do it. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خير.